Hello everybody, this is 960 here with you once again, and this video is going to be a kind of sum up of the latest drama concerning the Real Weekly News. Many of you may remember that I have been a supporter of his in the past, especially during the HuluTube debacle, although I see myself as more of a neutral party this time, and I think that both sides here have something very valid to say and a very valid point to make. Firstly, I shall address our side, well, you could say our side, but you know what I mean, of this argument with the negatives and the criticisms against the Real Weekly News himself. I do think that he very badly worded himself in his video, and that it seemed like he could easily be flip-flopping between a lot of YouTube partners and be generalisation. And he does spin things and perhaps exaggerate how bad these things are quite a bit. I do not think that any YouTube partner, or every YouTube partner rather, is actually such a bad person. I don't mind YouTube partners if they can make money off their videos. What the hell? Why should I care? Plus they get a nice banner as well, so yeah. I also think that he really makes too much of a big deal out of the popular users and popular videos page. I think we all by now that YouTube are just putting those there to sell, and it's always all partners. But really, very few of us actually do look at that particular part of the website, as DCE has pointed out numerous times. I certainly don't. I might see it occasionally on the front page, but I really don't pay much attention. If a video that I particularly like is there, and you know, I'll be pleased, I'll admit that. I mean, it's getting a lot of attention, which I like, but otherwise it's not that big a deal. And with a site like this, considering how big YouTube has gotten since it opened, I think, was it 2006? I don't know, but since it opened, it has got a lot bigger, and there are so many users. Of course people are going to be buried. Of course it's going to be hard for newbies to get noticed, and this is something that the Real Weekly News did have a problem with. And I think that on this notion he did have good intentions, and that he wanted to give everyone a fair chance of being discovered and everyone to be watched, considering that he's been blessed and started early on and got quite a few subscribers himself with his movie reviews. I also think they could be handling negative comments a lot better. He is way too overly defensive and really wants to stick with how his idea of how big a deal these situations are. And even if, say for the instance that people like DCE, Leatherman, etc, etc, even if they were trolling, he could simply ignore them. He could simply not respond, or respond in a more calm and civil way and say, look, this is where you've got me wrong. This is what I'm trying to say. I admit that, you know, I've fucked up with my wording, but this is the main point I'm trying to emphasize. And he's not doing that. But really, I think this is the part where it's going to cross over to the more positive points about the Real Weekly News, and perhaps some in his defence. But let's put a more neutral thing in here first. We can all agree that the main point in his video, you know, YouTube blood money, quote unquote, was that making a quick buck of someone's death and exploiting it is a terrible thing. I don't know if immoral is the right word, but it certainly is not very nice. I hate it. Many of us hate it. Most of us, I'm sure, would wish that it really did not exist. But sadly, as DCE has pointed out, people are going to do this. It's not going to go away. People are always going to do this. However, it seems that despite this agreement, a lot of us have seemed to be more focused on his wording about the YouTube partners and his attitude rather than the main point of the video. It seems to be almost like a secondary point in a way to his general attitude and how he's describing his feelings towards YouTube partners. However, I have seen a number of people, including Lily Livers, Very Weird Girly, and I think KB Madhouse, just numerous people who have addressed this point first and have made it more clear from the get-go that this is what they agree on. However, they are still making a general criticism about his wording and about his presentation in the video. And I think that perhaps some people could be considered to be getting a bit overly angry about this. And I'm not going to say that a lot of us are stooping to his level. I think that Random DC and most of us who have commentated or said something negative about him are generally, in their right mind, so to speak. We aren't exaggerating or trying to spin things a certain way. However, I do think we perhaps should take more heed to some of his points and realise that while not in every detail his, let's say, prophecies, for lack of a better word, while they have not come to be fully fulfilled, they still have raised some important points about this site and some important criticisms about the way YouTube is run. This one partner is apparently not the only person who has done this, and considering that YouTube control what goes on the most popular page, if they put something on the most popular page and they are putting it out and trying to, show us what they want to show us, and they are pushing and making these videos about exploiting this person's tragic death, if they are putting that in the focus, then they are as much responsible as the user who put it there in the first place. Because that would give the message, and it seems very likely considering what they've done in the past, that they don't really care about very much else besides money. That's probably part of the reason, or if not the sole reason, that they let anyone get away with false DMCA claims, false copyright claims, and let people like WMG constantly mute videos regardless of fair use. If they can do that, any threat of losing money, they're gonna try and eliminate that threat. And it could very well end up that other YouTube partners jump on the bandwagon and do a similar thing with the thumbnail switches and being dishonest so that they can make a quick buck out of exploiting this person's death and this particular tragedy. I also think that there is a good reason why the Real Weekly News did not mention the person's name. He wanted to give an example of how the partner system is being abused and misused and how sick and twisted some of these partners have got, but he did not want to start a flame war. He was not trying to start up hate with this particular person for whatever reason. I think he was just trying to be more civil by keeping that person's name muted, although it is a fair point that you could easily go and flag the video yourself. But as he has stated, that person has agreed that it was wrong to exploit the death for money, and so he has removed the ad so he does not make any more money out of it. I also think that Solaris Paradox made some good points in his most recent analysis of the video, that perhaps that despite his wording, it might have been more clear that if we'd listened carefully, that he is referring to a specific group of YouTube partners. Not every partner, but a specific few who are doing this, and that this is wrong. And that their excuses that they are just reporting fail because while the Real Weekly News, if I'm honest, is not that much of a reporter himself, it still does not mean that these people who are exploiting it are really covering very much considering how short these videos are. Closing thoughts. I think, as I've said at the beginning of this video, we all have something valid to say. I think Real Weekly News really needs to tone it down, calm down, and stop reacting so negatively, but we also perhaps need to stop trying to see drama in the slightest possibility there are for our own amusement, when if we scrutinise the details more and focus more on the point, we can really agree with something overall. Thank you for listening. This is Name060 and I shall see you all on the dark side of the moon. Off and away.